joining us right now on the phone from Victoria, British Columbia. She'll be fighting in 7 days' time in Kansas City, Missouri, taking on Leslie Smith. She's the former Strikeforce bantamweight champion, Sarah Kaufman. Sarah, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on again.
How are you doing? 7 days away from the big fight at Invicta FC. How has the preparation been? How are you feeling?
You know, I've been feeling awesome. Camp's been great. My team at Zuma went down at the very beginning of camp, worked out with the Jackson camp for a week. And, everything I feel is really falling in place and feeling really strong. Cardio's great. I just feel ready to go, and I'm excited to be back in the cage in pretty much exactly a week's time. Now,
it's been a while, right? I mean, we haven't seen you fight since August. Was it frustrating to spend so much time away from the cage?
It always is. And, things come up, and, I had a couple kind of niggling injuries that happened in between August and kind of this fight here. And luckily they weren't serious, but enough that it kind of put me on the shelf for a little bit. I actually tried to book a fight with Invicta a couple times already in between, and just they didn't pan out. They didn't happen. And so I'm really excited that, again, a week's time, people can watch online or be there live in Kansas City to see me get back in the cage and punch someone in the face.
Now, what happened the past couple of times trying to get some fights in Invicta? Was it injuries that stopped you from fighting? Was it potentially a fight in the UFC? What was the deal?
There were a couple things going on. I did have some injuries, and then, just kind of switching management and, having them deal with everything that's going on behind the scenes. This is the fight that came up. The UFC gave us permission to take the fight, and this is what's happened.
Now, how about that management switch? Was that something recent that you did? What was the reasoning behind all that?
I think you just have to find the person that works the best for you, and, it's just a matter of kind of trial and error, I think, for how you meld together with another manager. And, I'm working with someone that I'm really happy with, and, we just get along. We get along really well, and he seems to be on the same page as myself with, what I'm looking for in a manager.
And your fight here against Leslie Smith, she's got 3 of 5 wins by knockout. You like to knock people out. Are you excited about the matchup with Smith?
I think it's a great fight. It's a great fight for me. It's a great fight for the fans. Great fight for Invicta. Overall, it's a fight that I'm looking forward to, and that I think everyone should be looking forward to.
Now, she is listed at 5'9". You're listed at 5'5". Is the height going to be something that you're going to have to work through? How are you going to deal with her reach?
Yeah, I mean, you prepare with people who are around that same height, and you work on things that you think are going to suit her style versus my style, and I really don't think that it should be a problem.
Now, when you are preparing with people to kind of fit that, are you preparing with male training partners, female training partners? How tough is it to find a wide array of females to train with?
It's not easy, that's for sure. And I think a lot of the females train with men, and they always say, this girl can't bring anything because I train with men. But I think we're all in the same boat for the most part. So I don't know how true that statement is. I just try and train with the best people that I can, male or female. Down at Jackson's, I train quite a bit with Julie Kedzie, great friend. I also work with Holly Holmes, who's amazing, and she's a bit taller as well. And then there's so many other females down there. That being said, I'll work with the guys as well and just mix it up, for whoever's best suited for the camp.
Now, we recently saw Holly Holm fight for Bellator, looking very, very good. She's a former boxing champion. What was training with her like? What are her hands like?
She's amazing. I mean, I love training with Holly. She's a strong southpaw with great technical skill. So it's fun to get in there and mix it up. And, I don't train with a lot of southpaws, so to have that kind of different experience, but as well, that she's so awesome and is such a really nice person, it's a great training experience all the time.
Sarah Kaufman here on Ringside Report Radio. Now, Sarah, your fight with Leslie Smith, looking at you two on paper, Leslie has 5 wins, 2 losses. You have 15 wins, 2 losses. Do you think it's at all a mismatch as far as the experience in your favor?
I don't think so, honestly. You can look on paper and say, oh, this girl has less fights, but she's been fighting for a long time. She's been training for a long time. Maybe the opportunities just weren't there, or for whatever reason she, didn't fight as often when she first started. But, she works hard. She has great heart, and what she does, it works for her the most part. I'm just hoping to do the opposite and make sure that it doesn't work for her and make sure that my game plan is better.
Now, this fight taking place in Invicta, I know that you wanted to have a fight in the UFC. We tried to talk to Tom Wright on your behalf to try to get that fight happening here in Montreal. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Will your next fight be in the UFC?
I think that that's the plan. For me, I'm honestly not really thinking past next week. Everything rides on your last performance and your current performance. And, I need to make sure that I get in there. I put on a strong performance, look for a finish, try and get it as soon as possible, and make sure that it's an exciting fight. I think regardless of a win or a loss, that could change things. But, at the end of the day, the UFC is where I want to be. And in order to get there, I need to put on a strong performance. And for myself, I want to put on a strong performance and really get in there and mix it up and make it exciting.
Is there any added pressure in this fight, knowing that you put on a very impressive performance and then there'll be more eyes on you when you do make your UFC debut?
Honestly, every fight is really important, and every fight is the most important of your career. It doesn't matter where it is, what organization it's with. With Invicta, there's going to be a lot of people watching those fights and expecting a lot out of, myself and the other females on the card. And all I can do is work really hard and try and live up to that.
Now, in the UFC right now, Ronda Rousey is the champion, and she's waiting the winner of Kat Zingano and Miesha Tate. What do you think of the winner of Zingano and Tate getting that opportunity to not only fight Ronda Rousey, but also, coach opposite her on The Ultimate Fighter? Do you think that Zingano and Tate are the right women for that spot right now?
I don't know if there are any right women. I think all the women are putting on great fights, and of course, I want to be that female. I want to be that one. But I think that all the females, especially the ones signed to the UFC, are great representations of the sport, and all for different reasons, and they all have different strengths and different weaknesses. And I think it's just exciting that the UFC is really getting behind, quite a few female fighters and not just Ronda. They're really starting to push the others and myself.
And do you feel that you are getting the proper amount of push and shine from the UFC? I mean, I look at it, and objectively, you beat Miesha Tate, and Miesha Tate is getting a fight in the UFC before you. I want to know, I mean, do you feel you're getting a fair shake from the UFC right now?
Again, I think it's timing. And yes, I've beat Miesha. Yes, I've beat, Liz Carmouche. Yes, I've beaten Alexis Davis.
Yeah.
I've fought a lot of the girls that are currently signed to the UFC. But at the same time, those were fights that have happened previous to my last fight. Miesha's last fight was a win. Even though she got beat up by Julie Kedzie, she managed to get that win. And, I think that that's kind of what they look at. So at this point, these are the girls that they've chosen to have the next fight. And depending on the results, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
What do you think the result will be with Zingano and Tate?
I think that Zingano's gonna take the fight. I think that it's gonna surprise Miesha a little bit, and I think that Zingano gets the win.
And how do you see her faring against Ronda Rousey?
An interesting fight. Zingano has great ground, and has some stand-up skills as well. So, interesting fight.